I'm Andria Babbington, President of the Toronto and York Region Labour Council. As a person of color who came in this country for many years, and I don't think I ever have to worry about the color of my skin or even looking at equity on a whole until I arrived in this country and working in a sector where I realized quickly that there was different level, and the kind of respect that was in those workplaces was more racialized people was there as the wheel churning for the moneymaker, but the kind of disrespect, the treatment, even the way that we were looked upon in values, we were not paid our worth compared to the white counterpart in other areas of the workplace. We could see that clearly. And this notion that if you are an immigrant coming here, you must be poor, you must be looking for handout from others to send back to the rest of who you live in your country. So that was a challenge, and I think as myself later became a staff within the union, I think for a few years that hit home even harder. Working in a place where I was proud to represent people that look like me and clearly understand the challenges that they were facing in the workplace, because I've lived that. And that give me that urgency to want to stand up, to fight for those workers, to train them, to mobilize them to even speak up and not to be afraid, but find myself in the organization that I thought it was the right place to do it. And I was doing it. But then I realized when I looked behind me, I didn't see anyone advocating for me as a staff of color who was now facing similar. But this time it was within my own union. It was my employer at that time. People was afraid. My coworker wasn't going to speak up, and they were never going to support me because it's about whether you have a job or not. So I carried that for a number of years, knowing that I was going to speak up, because that was already what I was doing when I was representing workers, speaking up and teaching them to speak up. And speaking up on your own, it's hard because you get the backlash and nowhere to turn with that. And it takes on the mental side of it, where it's hard to focus on the work that you want to do, knowing that you're coming to work and feeling cast aside and not able to share that with more people. And when the murder of George Floyd, I think it opened up more where unions were stepping up to say, you know what, from what we're seeing, and this touches everywhere, we don't want to stand at the back. We want to be at the front leading. But leading how, right? And this is an opportunity with this forum to start to highlight what is it that we have gathered so far, because we're not just starting, and ideas of how unions could go back in and actually be a change maker. One is there languages that you could help to put into collective agreement where it's more forceful for newcomers that's coming in and not sure how to have this conversation. Then yes, there's a book, there's a manual that they can look at. I hope one day we're not just talking about the problem, but excited of how changes is happening. And Indigenous people, we know they normally take on a fight when it comes to what's happening within their own community. And now slowly, as we're stepping up to say that we're supporting them, we want to see that inclusion in the union and in the workplace more. Every year we do annual IDERD forum, International Day for Elimination of Racism and Discrimination. Again, it's another opportunity where we do come together. Just recently, when we all helped to grieve these people that was murdered in Quebec, just by simply praying, this was another opportunity for us to come together to grieve and to to stand up, to say that we are one, we are community, and we have to push forward with this. So as Labour Council, we will always continue to look at how we can continue the education side of it and mobilizing others and mobilizing unions to come out to take a stand. And looking at each union at how we can have this kind of inclusiveness, you know. And I wanted just to talk a little bit about it because we sat with a number of unions at tables just to get some ideas of what they were doing and how we can feel like we're working together. Number one, anti-Black and all other form of racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and bigotry have no place in our workplace or communities. Discrimination and act of hate against union members and other marginalized and exclude them from participating fully in our union and workplace and their community. So when it comes to anti-racism, we shouldn't let go. This is a highlight that we have to continue to push on government to make sure that the changes are happening, the policies in place, accountability in place for anyone that's abusing it when it comes to cheating wages, taking away rights, whether it's for healthcare or anything out there, that we have to continue to step for that. So I just want to encourage people to just be voice for each other until we're strong enough to do that.